Yo, we are officially recording. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, into the mind. I'm your host, Marlon Johnson, and today I'm excited. We are about to be interviewing one of my favorite people. This guy just he came through. He was over at the house a couple weeks ago, and when he showed up, I'm telling you, like the energy in the space changed drastically. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, like, yo, what is this? I'm like, yo, I'm feeling this guy's energy right now. Like the house was focused. So I'm excited for today's episode. We're gonna be diving deep into the story of this gentleman. He had a crazy transformation. He's entered into the real estate space, into the entrepreneurial space, and he's done it with a laser-like focus. The business that he's building right now, the team he's putting together, I see them taking over just like his entire market over there in Texas. And I just see him going nationwide and really doing some amazing things. I think he's a low-key beast, right? Like I think like his social media presence like should be way larger than it currently is, but he's building in the background, right? Like real G's move in silence. Like this is the epitome of that. He's moving in silence. So today in this episode, we're going to be learning about his past. We're going to be diving into his origin story. We're going to be talking about the transformation that he's experienced. We're going to be talking about how he protects his energy, what his business looks like today, what his business hopefully will look like in the future, and the things that he does to cultivate discipline. So, everybody, allow me to welcome you to Alejandro Alverez. Yo, Alejandro, welcome to the show, bro.
Yo, thank you so much for having me, brother. And that introduction, wow. Wow, bro. Thank you. Thank you. That's
Bro,
amazing.
dude, I'm glad to have you here, man. Like you were like becoming increasingly more and more one of my favorite people. I was fortunate enough that my roommate introduced me to you. He was like, "Bro, you following this guy on IG?" And I remembered like the first night I went on your IG, I was like, "Yo, this dude is hella cool." I'm like, "Yo, he only has like 700 followers. Like your posts are aesthetic. Like it was just like one of the coolest IGs." So I was like, "Yeah, I need to reach out and talk to this guy." And I remember we hopped on a phone call. We hopped on a FaceTime. And that FaceTime
Yeah,
call
yeah, yeah.
almost like 2 hours, I think. Just
Yeah. That was a pretty
vibes
long
immediately.
conversation. Yeah.
Bro, it was really good conversation, man. So I'm excited to be able to share you with the audience today. And what I want to do is I want to actually dive into your origin story, bro, because you have a pretty interesting past. You came to this country later on in life, so you weren't a native born US citizen. I want to talk about like where you came from, just like kind of where you grew up from and the difference that you experienced when you came to this country.
Wow. Perfect. Yeah. So I was born in Dominican Republic. My family, they're Dominicans. That's a Latin culture. But I grew up in St. Martin. St. Martin is what they call it St. Martin or St. Martin, depending on whether you're in the French or Dutch side. But that's where I grew up most of my life. It's a French or Dutch island in the Caribbean. And yeah, I mean that's where my mom moved to. I think when I was one, maybe even a little bit earlier. I do remember a lot of stuff, man. When I was like younger than 5 years old, I remember a lot of those. But I grew up there. Beautiful, amazing island. Everyone was so kind. Everyone's just peaceful. I mean, you're around the beach, the ocean, the views, the breeze, the palm trees. It's just always just quiet. The island is so small, you can literally get to the other side. I want to say maybe because it's a two-way street all around. There's no such thing as highways over there. I think you'll get there in less than 30 minutes on the other side of the island. But if
Dang.
there were highways, you'll literally get there like maybe 15 minutes. Like that's how small it is, but it's so beautiful. And there's so many scenery that it makes it feel like it's a big island when really it's not. You can get like on the hill, and you can literally see the other side of the island on both ways. Like it's amazing, bro.
Dang.
Um, yeah, but that's pretty much where I grew up. And then in 2000 and let's say 2014. No, it was not. No, it was way earlier than that. It's 2007 or something like that. I moved to Puerto Rico, San Juan, and from Puerto Rico, that's where I made it to Georgia, and from Georgia, I made it to Texas. So here I am, and I still travel a lot. So when people ask me where are you from, it's a really difficult question to answer because, like, well, I've been all over the place.
Yeah,
I've
man.
experienced multiple different cultures, different environments. So I have a heart of like, multiple different places.
It's interesting, right? Because, you're someone that in my mind and in my eyes, you're a very successful individual because you're actively, continuously working towards your goals and you're constantly making progress. And you're one of the people that, like, inside this country, this land of opportunity, you truly take advantage of it. And I find that the individuals that have experience living outside of the country see the opportunity here more so than some of the natural borns. So when you were
Mm.
coming up, right, and you were on like St. Martin and you were in Puerto Rico, essentially what was the standard of living like when you were out that way?
Ooh. Well, compared to the US, I mean, it didn't click how different or how much opportunities I have until I started, living on my own, and I was like around 17 years old. But uh, growing up in St. Martin, I mean, honestly, I've never really thought about, rich, poor, or anything like that. It was just a peaceful island all around. However, they are nicer homes. I just thought they were just honestly, I thought like people with nice houses in St. Martin, I thought they were like all pilots because like anytime I see someone land at the airport, they always head to the nicer homes. So I'm like, oh, this got to be like a pilot house or something like that. So, but here in the US, it's completely different. Like you can feel and you can see like the difference in like the environment and the like you can just tell like people make a lot less money than in this neighborhood. Like it's like
Mhm.
instant. Over there was just different.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? It's crazy. Like you do see like there's a pretty big like wealth divide, right, in different places. So, while you're out there, you bounced around. And I remember you and I were talking about this, like when you came to this country, there were some different concepts that you learned out here, right? It's like just even from a standpoint of like people, like where back on the islands, it's pretty much like almost a sense of like, hey, we're all one people, and then like
Yeah.
they're recognizing that the individuals here, it wasn't, there were many things that divided us as much things as brought us together. We also, learned that people would just start to naturally divide social economics, race, things of that nature. Can you speak on that for a
Yeah.
second? 'Cause I thought that was like your perspective was really interesting to me. Um, Big time.
Yeah. 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 Thank you for reminding me that. So yeah, like in St. Martin and Dominican Republic, I mean, just going back and forth with those two islands, everyone just felt like all that like just one. Like we were just one family because the funny thing is in Dominican Republic, it's a mix of different races.
Yep.
So you'll see like a blonde guy with blue eyes and he's Dominican because he's born, raised there. And then you'll see, dark toned African and he's Dominican, same language, same motives of life as far as like how we live and how we approach things over there. Everything was just very similar. So I've never thought because he's lighter skin tone he's better. It was just all one family. And same thing with St. Martin. I've never felt that type of vibe because you have people coming in from France, you have people coming in from United Kingdoms or Africa or Jamaica, and we were just all vibing, bro. The Caribbean vibes, just all vibing,
Yep.
fishing together. It was all different. But when I came to America, I think I started in the seventh grade. I mean, the first thing they were teaching me is like slavery and stuff like that. I'm like, man, what is this? And that immediately started making me feel like a less of a person, than those other people, like teaching the classroom and all that. Like, yeah, Africans were being enslaved, and I can tell like the energy was just different. Like everyone didn't feel like all at one, like one piece. Like you can tell like the whites will move together and then the Africans will move this way. And I'm here in the middle, like, what is this? What are we doing? Like, we're all just humans, right? Like, I don't understand the separation. Like, I just never understood it. And since then, bro, I've always been out of that, man. Like anything that comes up with like racism and all that, I've never had like a say. So I'm like, hey, man, you have your opinion. You have your opinion. If you want to be friends and you have good intentions of being around me and all that stuff, let's all be friends. I don't care where you're from or who you are. So That's kind of that. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
you definitely feel that immediately.
Yeah, and like I thought it was like interesting, right? Because the reason I bring it up too, and like the reason I wanted to speak on it for a second is because I found
Hmm.
that you have this ability to connect with people and you have this ability to bridge gaps, right? Through communication,
Yeah, yeah.
sales, through just energy. And I find that the individuals that have been able to enter into what I call like multiple worlds, right? Like you lived in one
Hmm.
world, you lived in one country, you lived in one culture, one way of being, and then you enter into another one that's so drastically different. You gain
Yeah.
this almost like superpower ability to be able to gain like a third eye perspective, right? A third person
Yeah.
perspective on situations. And
Hmm.
that's something that really like it acts as a superpower to allow you to grow, right? It allows you to
Yes,
transform, it allows you to change situations, it allows you
I
to
agree.
choose your environment in major, major ways. And I just always thought that was, very unique about you. And when we first spoke, like, I mean, that first time you were telling me about that, I was like, wow, like, at such a young age, because I had a very similar experience when I went to a, Catholic school where I stepped into the building and I was the only black kid
Yeah.
in the room. And I was like, whoa, like something's different. And it's me. I began to become
Yeah.
aware of multiple cultures and that people live different ways.
Hmm.
And being able to see that, like, hey, that's surface level, but when we get a little bit deeper, we are very similar. We're at the same at the core if we're able to get deep enough to figure that out.
Hmm. I agree. And I think, something I mentioned last time is that it made it easier for me, especially being in a sales background, it made it easier for me to approach anyone without judgment. It was just so much easier. I just saw you as a human, a potential friend, and I'm going to go have a conversation with you, whether, white, dark, whatever color you are, or however you look. I'm going to have a conversation with you because I was around that culture. Everyone was just one. So I never approached someone with, prejudging them, you know,
Yeah,
it,
man.
it just never felt right.
No, I agree with you. So let's actually like speed up now and go into. I want to like bring us to a couple points like in your life, right? Because essentially that was like the
Hmm.
childhood. You traveled around, you came to this
Hmm.
country, you got experience to like, oh dang, like Americans still talk like they talk about people in their skin color. This is kind of whack, but you know, you start to do your own thing, and at some point in your life, you found yourself in a pretty interesting situation, right? You found yourself, you know, at a from what I would call like a low point in your life, right?
Hmm.
Take me there for a minute. Like, take me to where you're at in life, where you were pretty much because this was like the origin story for as you started to enter into like your self transformation. Like, now people look at you like, dang, he's got his stuff together, he's got his life together, he's like on a roll. But before that, like, what was life like for you? Where were you at?
Before I enter like the better version of myself,
Yeah.
man, just honestly, man, just living life, living life wild, crazy, risky, I would say, but not in illegal ways. Just more like I'm just living my life. I used to drink a lot. I used to go out a lot, just like make money and go spend it type of thing. Like I I didn't know there were other things out there, until obviously I went through that phase. But I felt, looking back at it, that's like perfect hurdles for someone to go through to completely understand what not to do when they do find their better self. Because now you understand what's good, what's right and wrong. And, going through all that stuff back then, like just partying, going crazy, spending money. Oh man. Wow. Like,
So
yeah.
let's talk about that for a second because like, it's funny actually. I was like, I think I told you like right before this, I came from church and we were like even talking about this. Like everything has a
Yeah.
cost, right? So you're in a place in life where you were letting the party go. You were learning how to earn money like at a young age. You're earning some pretty good money because you found yourself getting into sales and you found that you were actually pretty good at it just because you had this ability to connect with people and communicate and you
Yeah.
weren't afraid of approaching strangers, right? And so
Hmm.
now you're the life of the party. You're a young man making good money, and you can go out and you can afford the nice things of life, right? Like, but what? I guess what did you discover, right? Because there are people like literally today, like a good friend of mine was saying, like she was like, "Yo, look, but I don't get it. Like, the pastor's saying like, don't go out and don't do this," but she's like, "But I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy my life. I want to,
Mm.
So it's like." you lived that, like you did the enjoying of the life. Like what did you find, I guess, at the end of that road?
No more excitement. No more excitement. It's like back to square one. It's like you did all this drinking, partying, you smiled, you laughed. And then at the end of the day, you're still at home sitting alone, thinking of what to wear that same night to go drinking. Like, oh man, this is really it. That's not it, man. No, but honestly, I'll be what I found there is that um, there's just so much more to do in life than just that. And one of the main thing I realized that me personally doing that did not benefit me or the future of my family or the family behind me. I was just partying, spending money. I could have did something different with the money I've earned through sales to help impact my family's life, and I didn't. I just spend it and waste it in just clubs and all that crazy stuff. But yeah, nice cars too. That was fun.
No, I love that, and we're gonna come back to that because I want to circle around to that. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about that right now for a second, right? Because
Okay.
you did get to experience some of those nicer things, right? And what I love is, dude, this is actually one thing that caught me. It's like you have this like appreciation for the finer things, for the nicer things, and you're not consumed by it, like which was like
Hmm.
really cool for me because a lot of people might from the outside looking in say like, man, like, oh well, he just cares about this, that, and third. But you're very
Right.
down to earth guy. You are very just like when someone's like fortunate enough to meet you and spend some time with you, they realize like, wow, he really just like he doesn't need all this stuff. However, you appreciate it, which
Right.
I thought was amazing. And you actually use it as a way of, getting yourself to go out and create, to go out and produce. Right.
Right.
So I want to talk about that for a second, right? Like you didn't necessarily give up the things that you enjoy, like pursuing and capturing. However, you changed the purpose of why you're getting it. Like
Yes.
what caused that trigger? Like what caused you to be like, you know what, like I need to I need to switch. I need to switch it up.
Man, honestly, what caused that trigger is just, and I told you before, this is where a certain special person in my life, passed away, and he was suffering for money, for his medicines to live a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
and not a lot of people in my family could have provided that, and if we did, we kind of exhausted that option, and that was just like eye opening to me. I'm like, wow, like this can really happen because you grew up, you see your friends, loved one pass away because of this and because of that, but until it like actually happened to you, like you don't really know how that feels. You just like just observe, and then like, man, that's terrible. But when it happens to you, it's like something just different just hit. And like, and maybe it's just me. I don't know. Some people maybe continue doing what they're, been doing. But for me, I was like, I would never want any of my family members or anyone I love in my life to ever have to go through something like that. And I realized, wow, I'm really, really, I think between my mom and I, we're the only person in the entire family tree that actually makes, legit money, like real, like okay money, like, you live well money. And when I look back and I'm like, man, if I didn't go to the club, if I didn't buy this car, if I didn't buy this suit, if I didn't buy this like nice shoe, I could have actually helped the person in need at that time, but I couldn't because I spent it all. So that's really that switch, man. That was that, and at the time it was like I was like laying in bed when that happened, and I got up. It's like almost like a new soul just entered. Like, yo, wake up, man. I've been trying to tell you this is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm.
Wake up. And that's when I woke up, and that's when I started searching for my better self.
Bro, that's powerful. That's powerful because like even like the way you said that, right? Like it's like I've been trying to tell you. It's like there was this voice, like there was 'cause I think sometimes people think like it's like it totally comes out of like total left field. But then when it hits you, like when that transformation hits you,
Hmm.
crazy. It has like a new feeling, and yet it's familiar at the same time. Like this is like
Yeah.
an old friend that's been there the whole time, like a new version of you that's been waiting for you to kind of remember. It's like,
Yeah.
remember that I'm here.
Right. And at that time, man, I realized I didn't have the surrounding, the friends that are doing good things in life. All the friends I had at the time were, partying, getting drunk, doing stuff that doesn't really benefit their family. So when I got that activation, I had to get alone. Like I was alone for a really long time, bro. Like I was alone for maybe like a good year. Like the only person I had was my girl at the time, and I had to let her go as well because of how serious I was to find my better self.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, I told you this, when I was in Arizona, my girl and I at the time, we fell in love because of that person I was back then. And then when I became that better version of myself, um, it was no longer compatible. Like we no longer understood each other. We were like in different, universe. And, it wasn't like a terrible breakup or anything. It was like, hey, geez, like you're just different now. I'm like, yeah, I am. And then that's really what happened.
So let's talk about that, right? Because Alejandro, here's what I see. A lot of people, they want to change, right? And
Hmm.
although they say they want to change, there's parts of the old version of themselves that they're trying to hold on to that are no longer compatible. In fact, so much my buddy Donovan hit me up today. He says, like, yo, I'm going live on Instagram tonight because like we need to talk about this. Like we need to let people know that you gotta let go of the
Hmm.
the older life, right? Like the older life has friends associated to it. It has activities
Hmm.
associated to it that need to be released. So
Hmm.
but a lot of people there's resistance. Like when you start saying like, hey, look, I'm gonna give you what you want, I'm gonna give you the new, but you gotta let go of the old. That's where they start to clam up, they start to resist. You know, can we speak about that for a second? Because you had to let go, man. Like, you shared with me a little bit about like your past life, and I was like, oh, bro, you really let go of like a lot. Like, like, but like the changing of friends, right? And the changing of, you know, what sort of sacrifices, I guess, do people have to expect to sacrifice? Like if they're gonna become a newer version of themselves, in your opinion?
Man, I'll be honest with you, Marlon. I haven't used the word sacrifice in a long time. Well, I'd say that it feels like a long time, really, maybe like 2 years. And I got that from Andy Frisella, which of course is the one, who invented 75 hard. He said it's not a sacrifice, it's an investment,
Mm,
for yourself. So yes, you do have to make investments, to find that better version of yourself, right? Because how else do you keep that car running? You have to invest into an oil change, right? So how else do you keep bettering yourself? You have to invest in yourself. You have to change the surrounding. You have to continue doing maintenance on yourself. So you have to, to get the motor running or keep going. And I see a lot of people nowadays, like they just limit themselves. I see it firsthand, and that was one of the toughest things to be around because I'm over here, you know, on my way to finding better version of myself every day. I'm finding myself a new hero of who I am every single day. I'm finding a better version of myself, and I'm seeing people. Wow, okay, cool. I make 10 grand a month. I don't party as much anymore. Cool. That's it for me. But me, I was like, no, there's more out there. There's definitely more out there. So, letting go of your current environment, it's not a sacrifice, it's an investment for yourself to find that better version because you have to surround yourself with people who are in higher level that you're trying to achieve. Like that's a must. Like me being like having conversation with you, Marlon, like you and I think we can go a full day having a conversation because we genuinely understand each other and we genuinely, ride that same wave of that energy that we look and we have very similar desire on finding that better version of ourselves. So we understand each other every time we have a conversation. But there's certain people in my life that I love. I genuinely love that. That's family to me. That I can't have these type of conversations. So the conversations are pretty short, not intentionally. It just naturally happens. Like, wow, like yeah, you don't understand what I'm trying to say. And we have to switch it up to something. And when we do, it's something that you don't want to talk about. you as the person that's finding the
Yep.
better version of yourself.
Uh, I listen,
So
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, I love the word investment too. I like because if someone really breaks down an investment, right, we understand an investment has a cost, right? There's an
yes.
upfront cost. However, there's a return on the back end that is much larger. And most times
Mm-hmm.
investments take a bit of time for you
Mm-hmm.
to recoup the initial seed capital. And then after that, it's a surplus. It's a surplus. It's a surplus. So if I looked at it as a chart, my investment chart might dip in the beginning because I had to, let go of something. I had to put something in, right? I had to let go of what was over here. So it dips, but then it starts to rebuild and rise and rise. And at some point it surpasses where it originally started and it
Mm-hmm.
continues to go. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, calling it an investment is phenomenal. I think people should pay attention to that word. And in fact, recognize that, hey, letting go of old environments, old habits, that is a
Mm-hmm.
part of the investment. I love that, man. And you're right, right? When we find those right people, I was explaining to you, like, hey, like, after spending more time with you, I was just like, yeah, like keeping the circle tighter, right? Keeping the
Yes.
circle tight because protecting the energy it's critical. It's absolutely critical.
Yes.
So you found yourself as you were making your own personal investment, and as you were growing and you were starting to become the newer version of yourself that you had to, like you said, you spent about a year of kind of cleaning off and trimming up the circle, so much so that even one of the people that was closest to you, it got to the point where you said like, hey, we're no longer even compatible, right? And so
Yeah.
as you started to rebuild your circle, right? Because I think a lot of people learn, okay, like they learn step one. Step one is, you know, prune, right? Step one is get rid of the toxicity, right? But then a lot of
Yes.
people stay in that and now they're just in total isolation, right? At some point, right, did you start to find like, hey, I've got to intentionally plug back in to certain people? And how did you go about, if you did, finding those people?
Ooh, that's a great question, man. Honestly, it started with me watching a lot of podcasts and being part of the greatest mentorship that you and I are both part of, sub
Sure.
two. I mean, just getting to know Pace was like a huge eye-opening moment in my life because I realized, wow, there's actually people out there like Pace Morby. Like growing up, I mean, bro, like going through high school and friends, you get backstabbed and all this stuff, and people always shake your hand in front of your face and go say something negative about you behind your back, and then you find out, and then meeting other people, like it was just perfect how I met Pace, bro. It's like the perfect timing, man, because I was really genuinely like alone on finding the better version of myself. And my old friends, they were still friends, but back in that lifestyle, they no longer wanted to have conversations with me because they know I'm not going to respond like I used to respond back in the day. I'm not going to entertain your conversation. So yeah, of course, I respect that. But going through that lonely path and listening to Andy Frisella, man, that helped. Like you listen. I don't know if you listen to Andy Frisella, but he's just straightforward. Like he don't
Oh,
hide anything. He tell you, hey, you're the B word or you're either a killer, right? You're an elite. Like this is only for elite people. And I felt that energy through that podcast. And then again, meeting Pace Morby at that time, I felt like it was just like almost like an open door of just a new world, right? Like, hey, my name is Pace Morby. Here's what else possible in life, and he helped me see what's possible in life as far as like the clear version of what's possible out there. Because people say, yeah, you can get rich and you can make a lot of money, but he just made it seem like it's like, yo, all you got to do is just take two steps and you're there. That's how he made it seem, right?
mm-hmm.
So me, being around him, I get to meet other, better people like Tanisha. She's amazing. Met Marlon, amazing. Tyler, Luciano, like just meeting amazing people back to back, where the conversation that we all have, we can actually understand each other. So that's when I realized, your surrounding is really important, really, really important.
Man, it's critical, right? Like it's a major part. Like it's something that can't be overlooked, right? Like if
No.
we're on this road to success, you absolutely need to be able to have a campfire. I call it the campfire effect, right? You got to have a campfire to plug into.
Yeah.
That campfire, like it's either going to warm you up or it's going to cool you down. Like the people at your campfire should be feeding into the fire, you know?
Right.
So you started listening to the podcast, you found this mentorship, you found Pace Morby, you found the Sub 2 community, which is low key, not even low key, high key. It's the best community on planet freaking Earth. Like I really have not come across a better community, a more well-rounded community as of yet, just truly haven't. And one thing that was interesting is when you found Andy Frisella, you found his 75 hard program, right? You found
Yes.
what he had put together. And interestingly enough, you went through the 75 hard program. And let's talk about that for a second, because you gave me some deep inspiration, bro, like on your first time going through it. I believe it was your first time going through it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Um, well, before 75 hard, just to put it out there so people can actually consider this, I started meditating because that's when I was first trying to find a better version of myself. And, I just got on YouTube, how to become better, how to become a better version of yourself. And a lot of meditation things come up, monks and all that. But, I was like, I don't know if I want to shave my head and my eyebrows, but I certainly do want to meditate. Um, so I did started meditating, and, that obviously increases your self-awareness. And when I first started 75 hard, Andy has this thing where he says, you got to dominate your bitch voice, right? You have a bitch voice and you have a boss voice. That's how he separates it. It's kind of like, that you ever seen those cartoons where you have the evil guy and then the
Yep.
angel on the other side, right? So that's kind of the feel that I got what he meant. So doing 75 hard, you always have that voice. Hey, don't worry about the gallon. Don't drink the gallon. You don't have to do it, man. You worked hard today. Like, you're fine. And I'm like, what? Like, if you had that self-awareness, you'd be able to be like, oh, that's the bitch voice trying to take me down. I see. Good try, buddy.
Ooh.
Good try. Good try. So it was so much easier for me to actually complete 75 hard. And when I first did it, actually my barber introduced me to this. I remember I was working at the dealership, and he was saying he was doing 75 hard at the time. He was like, yeah, you got to read your book, physical book, no audible, and the first thing I said, oh yeah, I don't like physical books, man. I like audibles. Like, I drive. I don't have time to read books. I work freaking 12, 13 hours a day at the dealership. Like, I don't have time to read books. And just looking back at it, it's so hilarious because all those excuses I was telling him, he was like, at the time he was like, yeah, sure, okay. And he was like, no alcohol, this and this and this and that. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And I didn't think about it, for another few months until I actually got to that rock bottom. When I hit that rock bottom, like, yo, I really got to find my better self. And when I started 75 hard, I didn't go look it up. I didn't read it. I didn't know like about Andy Frisella like that. I just did exactly what my barber told me. He was like, you got to take a picture. You got to no drinking alcohol, gallon a day, read a physical book. What else was it? Yeah, no cheat meals, and 2 workouts. And the first book I read, I picked up 2 books, right? It was Traction and Rocket Fuel.
Get
That was
out
the
of here.
first. Yeah, I'm serious. That was the first 2 books that I picked up when I started 75 hard. And I would take pictures like towards the weekend. Like, I didn't take pictures every day. Keep in mind, like, while I'm doing this, I don't know the exact rules. So I'm doing taking pictures here and there. And then my girl at the time, she low-key got upset because we drink wine all night long, like every night. Like, that was her thing. She was British, right? She loved all the drinking wine and all that stuff. And she drank a lot of alcohol at the time, but she wasn't like an alcoholic or anything. She just, when she drinks pretty much. And she was like, oh, like, she planned a trip to Miami. We're gonna go to Miami. Like, you're gonna drink, right? I'm like, no, I'm doing 75 hard. I can't drink. And I can tell she got really, really frustrated at that time. And that's the, like, I think that was like the first taste where I started feeling like that separation. Like, wow, I'm no longer that person she used to know. And I think I was like 40 days in when that happened. So we went to Miami, everyone is drinking, like all her it was like, all her British friends, there was from the UK just visiting, and I was the only guy. Like they went clubbing, and everyone had a bottle drinking, and everyone was like, man, I don't know how you do it. Like you're just sitting there, like not drinking, like you're not tempted to do it. You just seem normal. Like I don't understand why everyone is just getting drunk. And honestly, when that person told me that, it boosted me up. I'm like,
Bro.
yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking. And I can tell again, like my girl at the time, she was getting really upset about that. And I think at the time I thought the day ends at 12 a.m. That's what I thought. Actually, it doesn't. It ends when you go to bed, when you sleep. So we're out, and I didn't do my second workout. I told her, hey, I have to be back home early so I can complete my second workout. And it was like, I think it was like 10 something. I was like, hey, we got to go. Like they were having dinner, they were drinking. I look back at it, it must have looked terrible because I literally just got up. I ordered the Uber. I'm like, we got to go. She followed me, and she saw that, like, how determined I was to like complete this and to execute this. And on the way to the Uber, because I kid you not, I had a cigar at that place we were eating. I had a cigar. I used to smoke a lot of cigars when I worked at dealership because I always had suit on, GQ, ties, bows, and all that stuff. So I would go to. I felt like I was that young guy, but with an older soul. So every time I go to the cigar, I would hang out with these older gentlemen, like just relaxing, older, talking about life, and I always loved that energy. So I would smoke a lot of cigars, but I stopped smoking for like a really long time until that day where I'm in Miami. And I guess when I smoked, like my stomach got really, really weird and I threw up like in the Uber. Like the Uber had to pull to the side on the way back to the hotel and I threw up. And I kid you not, bro, I got to the hotel, felt so bad. And I just started working out in the shower while I had the shower just running on me. It was cold. And I was like, I'm just working out before 12 a.m., doing push-ups, doing all type of like extra exercise outside the restroom. Super dangerous. It was slippery too. But then I got back on the 75th day. I finally finished Traction and I finished Rocket Fuel. I was reading both those books at the same time, one in the morning, one in the evening. And I picked up 75 Hard, like the actual book, and I started reading it. And I guess I was like, I don't know what page I was, maybe 30, 40. It says, you have to take a picture every single day. You can't read multiple different books. You have to complete one at a time. It was just, I'm like, oh my God. I've been doing this wrong all along. On the 75th day, I'm talking about I'm getting ready to take the suit off. Like I just killed this. I just, no one else could have completed 75 and I did. And at that time I realized, wow, I failed. And literally I was like, well, I'm just going to start tomorrow, start over, do it the right way. But I think I tricked my girlfriend at the time because I didn't want to upset her again. She was just so excited. Oh, he's about to complete it. We're going to have some drinks. So that didn't happen. So I told her, it was like, hey, I forgot there's like an extra week or so. It was an extra 75 days hard. So I completed 75 days. And yeah, man. So, but the funny thing is though, Marlon, the fact that I didn't know the rules, I still got out of it what you were supposed to, which was that mental toughness, because I went through, the around drinks, people that are drinking. And dude, like when you're sitting there and you like not drinking to trying to better yourself, you realize like, what are you doing around these people that are just getting drunk and getting like drinking? Like, what are you doing? Like, does this actually benefit you? Like, bro, I was literally just sitting there, just watching everyone getting drunk. And I don't know if you ever been sober around drunk people, but it's pretty annoying, bro. It's really annoying.
I know exactly what
that's
you
how
mean.
that went.
Well, it's really interesting, right? Because two things, right? Actually, I want to highlight two things, right? Where first, like you said, you're actually around those people, right? Those individuals that are drinking, like, and you're not, judging them, but as you're the sober person in the room, as you make up your mind to do something and you see how they're coming at you like, whoa, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? man, I can't lie. Like that's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling when people are coming and they're just like they're thinking what you're doing is so superhuman because you realize,
Yeah,
wow, so many people lack self-control. So many people
bro.
just do not harness that power within themselves. So you doing something as simple as deciding I'm not going to drink or I'm not going to eat this or I'm going to exercise and sticking to your guns and sticking to your decision, that in and of itself already separates you and starts to put you among the top, 5%, the top 2%, the top 1% is simply this ability and to exercise on and not just know it intellectually, because a lot of people know it intellectually, but to actually do what you know, which
Yes,
is
bro.
phenomenal. So it's like I want to like, because I've had that feeling too, where people walk over and like, how are you doing this? Like, it's like,
Right.
bro, really? Like, this is superhuman to you? This is extraordinary? Wow, I'm gonna keep doing this. If it gets me
Yeah.
this, like, what an amazing feeling to get from simply taking control of myself. And the fact that, like you said, you actually I appreciated this about you because you also did it while you were here in Arizona, which is when you made up your mind on it's time to go because I have an intention. You didn't look for a cosigner, right? You didn't look for somebody to bro. A lot of people get cosigners for their like for what they need to do. Like, it's like if you're like, hey, I'm ready to leave, I'm ready to go. A lot of people, be like, hey, I think I want to get out of here now. I think,
Hmm.
oh, all right, you just want to wait like 10 more minutes. All right, I guess I could wait 10 more minutes. You're like, no, it's time to go. I've already established that like this isn't what I'm here for. This I'm not getting any value from this, right? And every minute, what I appreciate about you is every minute counts. Every moment matters for something. So even as you went through the 75 hard, although you didn't read the official rules, to you, you were following the official rules. To you, you were
Correct.
going through the discipline of doing the inconvenient work, right? Not allowing any excuses to interrupt. And for
Correct.
that, exactly, you were able to get out of it what you were meant to get out of it because you were challenging yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
Bro, so that's fire, right? So essentially 75 hard, it helped transform you. It taught you these lessons, right? And then it also put a divide, right? Put a deeper divide between you and some of the people that you were previously interacting with, right?
Yes. Yes. So I'll be honest with you, bro. Like doing the whole 75 hard, everyone just starts looking at you different, bro. And you actually start, recording that message that, that energy you feel. You're like, man, am I different? Like, is it a bad thing? Like, I've always had this question when I was going through 75 hard, especially the second time when I realized, like, whoa, this is working for me, but why is everyone so distant? Like, what? Like, am I the wrong person here? And it got to a point, like, bro, I was still sticking to it, and I actually like because I had no one to talk to, I actually recorded myself to talk to myself so I can understand like what exactly is going through my mind. And I had to express myself, recording myself on the phone. Why are you doing this, Alejandro? Like, why are you going through this? Like, why are you willing to let go of everyone that you know right now to become your better self? Like, why? And I started recording that. And man, it was just deep conversations with myself. And when I got home after that last workout, I was happy as heck, bro. I was just super happy laying in bed. My girl at the time was pissed off, and I'm just, okay, whatever. Like, trust me, I'm finding the better version of myself, and this is working. And just reading like even like Kobe, like he said, man, you have to be selfish to be selfless. And
Yep.
that was me being selfish. I don't want to have fun with you. Like, we don't have to drink to have fun. We can have conversations together and enjoy life together. We can travel. We don't have to get messed up. We don't have to spend money here and there. Like, and unfortunately, I was no longer that person that her and I, like who I was went back then when I met her. I was no longer that person. That person's gone.
Bro, yo, you're hitting home on some stuff, right? And like the reason I appreciate this conversation right now, Alejandro, is because there are people going through this right now. Like they find themselves, in that
Hmm.
situation of isolation in the more early stages of transformation. And they're
Hmm.
having those same sort of questions, right? They're asking themselves, and it's it's you're on the razor's edge, right? And it's easy to fall back onto the same side of the fence that you were on
Oh
previously.
man.
It's very, very easy. And it takes that extra bit of strength. And, for most of us, it just takes I just need to know that this is going to be worth it, right? Like, I just need to know that it's going to be worth it because, like, I know where I came from. And truth be told, sometimes, like, it's just like, hey, look, I just don't want to go back to the hell I just came from. I don't even know what's on the other side
Bro,
of this fence. It's simply, I know what's already over there, and I'm just not really trying to go back to that.
bro, get this, bro. It's funny you say that it's so easy to go back to your old self. It is because you've been that person your whole entire life. And this person that you got to know for 75 days doesn't have the weight over this old person that you've been for the past 20 something years, however old you are now. But bro, when I did that 75 hard for the second time, that's 100 and what days? I don't even want to do the
Was
math
that
there.
150?
150, something like 150 days, no alcohol, bro, just straight discipline. You start to realize you feel good all the time. You're like, oh my God, I've never met this person. Who are you? And when I've completed it, this is when I was like fresh, single, bro, single. And my friend Ricky, you met him. He was like, "All
Yep.
right, bro, let's go to the club, let's do." It. And that weekend, it was literally Friday. We went out. I couldn't even drink. I couldn't even drink half of like alcohol, a cup of alcohol. Back then, it was like chugging 2 cups of alcohol just so I can start to feel the vibe, bro. And then when I went on that weekend, I took a sip. I'm like, oh, this hurts. This hurts. Oh my God, this hurts. Is this what I used to do? And man, I was just in the club and I was just looking around, everyone's getting drunk, and I started to feel like, what am I doing here? Like what actually what did I get from this back then? I don't get it. And at the time, you were having this inner battle with the older version of yourself and the new version of yourself. The new version is just like, hey, I'm here. I am here now. And then the older version, like, no, he's gonna go back to it. He's gonna go back to it. Remember, like the bitch voice and the boss voice.
Yep.
And bro, after I came back home, I woke up. I was a little, had a headache off that little drink I had. I'm like, oh no, I can't go back to my old self. So I went into phase one immediately, bro, because it was almost frightening to like even think of the older version of yourself. So when I came back after that day, that night at the club, it was like 3 a.m., bro. And through 75 hard, I was going to sleep 9, 10 p.m. Like that's bedtime. And 10 p.m., that's when we was leaving to the club. And I was just tired, exhausted, and I started just getting flashback of my old self, and I couldn't let it. Like something like my boss voice. And again, I'm telling you, like if you're gonna do 75 hard, practice meditation as well because that self-awareness is important. Like it's key to achieving that at maximum level. So started phase one and man, it just felt normal. I felt like, yo, this is the new me now. This is
Yep.
me. Like I'm over here closing deals. I'm talking to sellers. I'm away from getting drunk. I'm sleeping early. I feel healthy. I feel good. I feel like I'm actually working towards my purpose. And I don't even think my mom believed the new version of myself. Not even her, because I would say something like, like mentally, like next levels, and she would be like, "What are you talking about? Like, who are you?" I'm like, "Mom, like, I got us. I got us. I found a new self. I found a new version of myself." And you can just tell she was like, "Ah, yeah, okay, yeah." Because all these years I've been bullshitting, bro. All these years I've been bullshitting. I've been telling my mom, I'm making money at the dealership. I'm gonna buy you a house. When you say that for so long and you actually never do, like, I don't blame my mom for like not believing what I said when I became the better version of myself. So I'm like, I'll show you,
Mm.
and I'll show you, and it and it's starting to click with her. Like even recently, I think like the past 3 months or so, it's like, yo, this is a different son. This is different. This guy is serious. Like,
Yo, that's powerful right there. Cause like what you just said too, is like a lot of people they find themselves right. And like I went through this phase personally where like I was trying to
mhm,
tell everybody what I'm gonna do, tell everyone. And then it gets to the
right,
point where it's like, you know what? Some people you can tell, right? Other people that already get it, you can tell. You can have, I call it vision talk, right? You can have vision talk with certain people, and it's important to figure out who those people are, right? Go find your people
Mm-hmm.
that you can have vision talk. You talk vision to vision, and then some people you gotta just show them, right? Like they come from a place called show me, right? So you just gotta simply show
Yeah.
them exactly what you're gonna do, and that's when they'll start to believe, and that's when they'll start. And also for yourself, right? Like it's you got to be able to truly believe your own words by showing them, letting your actions speak, not just knowing the right things, but actually letting your actions portray the knowledge and the wisdom that you have, that you've gained, this new version of you that's coming to life. And bro, like I mean, with you, man, like I can tell you, bro, like it lives. Like if you lost the ability to communicate, I would still be able to know who you were based on your actions, right?
Yep.
Based on the decisions you make and the results you produce.
Exactly. And I'll tell you something funny that happened to me recently that made me realize that I still have a lot more to show for who I am today. Is my mom, um, she has a boyfriend now, super dope guy. Love the guy, man. I remember I wrote him a Christmas card in Christmas. It was really personal to me. I've never seen my mom so happy with someone. And I got him open to owner finance on his house. No joke. We were just having a conversation and he wanted to sell it on the market. And, I started telling him about like what I do and how I do it. And he was like, well, because at first I got him open to the Morby method because he wanted a lump sum up front to go, pay off some of the house that he lives in, super nice house. And then I was telling him about owner finance. And he was trying to avoid capital gains. And he was so impressed. But like, whoa, wait, like I can avoid paying capital gains if I do owner finance. And like, and I got him open to $9,000 down. This is a $450,000 house. He was open $9,000 down, zero interest. I think it was amortized for 30 years with I think it was like 20-year balloon. This guy really plans ahead. And like crazy enough, I didn't hear from him the day after. And I'm like, what could have happened? But did I close him too soon? Or like, what happened? And then I got a text. He was like, hey, I'm on board, but mama's not on board. I'm like, what? My own mom? I have to negotiate with my own mom now? And then something clicked. I'm like, wait a minute. My mom doesn't know who I am today. She only knows who my old self was. So I completely understand. I swear to you, Marlon, I did not get upset. Not one bit. I did not get upset. I'm like, wow, mom, you know what? I understand. And I had this conversation with her. I'm like, hey, mom, like, I see that you're not on board. She was like, what if you default? Because Marlon, back in the days, I used to ask my mom for money and I said I would pay her back and I never paid her back because I was so irresponsible with my finance.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was it made so much sense to me on why she was like, no, don't do that. Because, she can see where if that older version of my stuff, have to make monthly payments to her boyfriend, I would default. And then what's the word I'm looking for? It would screw up, her relationship
Yeah.
potentially, right?
Negatively
Because
impact that. Yeah.
I'm her son. So it clicked to me. I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. And I realized I have so much more to show my mom, like, of who I am today. And, I got on the phone with her, my mom loves me. My mom loves, like, we have like a, weirdly enough, like a brother and sister conversation. Like, it's just so open. Like, we're friends,
Mm-hmm.
we're best friends. And I was telling her, like, hey, mom, you know what? Like, I completely understand. She didn't even have to tell me, like, mom, I understand. Like, she didn't want to say it on the phone. Like, hey, I told him not to do it because of you. But I can tell, like, mom, I understand. Like, I completely understand you don't want to, jeopardize your relationship. Like, this is the best relationship you ever had. I've never seen you this happy. But I'll tell you this, it is a good deal the way I negotiated with him, and it will help him the long run, and he will get residual income because he's tired of being a landlord. Um, don't let him miss this opportunity because of me. Let me actually still help him by, put him in front of someone that actually has credibility, in real estate, which is Pace Morby. I'd send Pace Morby this address. And she was like, and then she started getting interested. She was like, so how would this work? Right. Okay. Well, what if you default? I'm like, that's the best thing that can happen. When you pitch terms, like
Yup.
if you're a closer, you're a close. She was like, okay. Okay. And now, he's on the way to getting his LLC, to do the whole owner finance thing. And, it paced my buy this deal. But that was super, like, that was an
Bro.
interesting moment in my life, bro. I realized, like, wow, I really came a long way.
See, and yo, that right there, that's big. And I'm happy you said that too, because again, like everyone's at different parts of the journey. And like what I like about you is like you've evolved along this journey in a pretty, I would say like a fast way, but I wouldn't even say it's all that fast. I would say it's at the natural speed because you've allowed
Mm,
the compound interest of doing it
mm-hmm.
day after day after day, of being intentional with moment to moment to moment, that this is actually what it looks like. It's a slow growth, but then it exponentially speeds up. So getting to this point of now you recognize you're the newer version of yourself. And I think a lot of times people are like, but I've changed. And they're mad. They're mad at the rest of the world for not seeing that they've changed. And that shows, hey, look, you still got some more growth to get through. Right. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
can't even recognize and understand that you want the world to see you for who you are now, but what about who you've been showing them that you were for the last 10, 20, 15 years? Right.
Mm-hmm.
That person was just as real as you want this person to be. That person already carries the history, right? You've got to build history now with this new person. That begins
Yeah.
today with, essentially making up for the last versions of you mistakes, right? Like that last person came into the house, tore everything up. You can't just walk into the house now and pretend you didn't make that mess last night. You got to clean the mess up first. Then right, it's like the garden, right? I can't just go and start planting roses today. I gotta go get rid of the weeds first. I gotta go get rid of all the old stuff first. Now I can
Yeah.
start with a fresh lot. Now we can put down some roses. So
Yeah.
I love that, bro. So let me check this out, and like let me know if you got a time limit, bro. Because like I enjoy these conversations with you, man. Like I want people to know more and more about the way your mind thinks, right? And because you're a prime example, like this is what I want people to recognize when they look at you, that
Mm-hmm.
you're the epitome of actually learning this information and then putting it to use, like implementation of the information. Because we always say that information can change situations, but only with implementation, right? It's
Exactly.
one thing to know it, and it's a whole other animal, it's a whole other beast to actually put it into
Exactly.
practice and to do it for more than just a week, more than just a day, more than just a month, right? To make this so much a part of your lifestyle that you no
Yep.
longer even have to ask the question of how long do I need to do this for? You do it
Yep.
until you no longer ask that question. Because
Yep.
now it should become, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy
Yep.
waking up early. I enjoy exercising. I enjoy eating healthy. I enjoy having a sober mind that can focus. I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
mapping out the goals. I enjoy meditating. So you've gotten to a place now where you enjoy the pursuit of the better version of yourself, right? Like you
Oh
were
my
just
God.
like,
Obsessed.
I freaking love that word right there,
Obsessed.
obsessed. And as you grow, right? I want to ask you this, right? What's one of the more surprising things that you learned about yourself that I guess maybe you weren't anticipating, right? You knew there would be a better version, but has anything like surprised you where you're like, wow, I wasn't even expecting this part of me to be there?
Whoa, man. I'll be honest. That's a great question because I'm still seeing that today. Like when I have conversations with like friends and like they're going through something like internally, mentally, and I provide them with solution like this. And then after I tell them that, like looking at their face, they're like, and I'm like, yo, that was good. What I just did, that was, that was
Yeah. Yo.
I'm telling you, bro. When I see their reaction, and then I go back and I'm like, how did I came up with? Wow, that was good. Like, you feel good, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. He was like, bro, you're like next level. And I'm not saying that to be braggadocious. I'm saying that because it surprises me on how clear I can solve someone else's problem, just like this.
Yep.
Just like this. Like, come to me with I want people to come to me problems. Like I enjoy it. Like when my business partner and one of my business partner, like he's not as coachable. Like he's really like more like in his own zone. Dope guy, super dope. And when he comes to me like, hey man, I need your help. I'm like, yes. What do
Yeah,
you got for me to solve today? What do you
bro,
got?
I feel you on that. It's funny because like that's what happens. Like that's one of the side effects of working on yourself, right? Like by
Yes.
naturally figuring your own situation out, your own things out, you naturally become able to like communicate and with other people, help figure out their situation. Because at the core, we're all the same, bro. It's funny you even say that because like literally on the drive home this morning, like we're having a conversation, is me, Luciano, and Devin in the car, and like she said something, and like the response I gave, Luciano was like, "Wait, hold up." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Bro, I just needed a wow." He's like, "You just blew my mind," and I was like, "Oh, dang, I guess it was good, right?" Because
Luciana did that to me one time. He did that.
yo, cause and it's cool because like it's just like
Yeah.
sometimes you do catch yourself like, damn, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're plugged in, right, that clarity, it exists, and you start to realize it spreads into everything we do. Right. Like that saying of how you do one thing is how you do everything. It does start to spread. Good habits, just like bad habits, spread into all areas of your life.
Oh my God, bro. Bro, that was like the hardest thing for me. Because I have a roommate. You know him, Ricky. Like
Yep.
that's my cousin, brother. Love him to death. And like when I was going through the phase of just bettering myself, he was still doing a lot of the things that I used to do. So I would struggle with like being around that. I'm like, oh my God. And then I was like, hey, bro, like you shouldn't do this. Like, do it different. Like, hey man, like go work out. Like, hey man, like, and I caught myself just stressing out over someone else's action. And
Mhm.
that's what really helped me take myself to the next level. I'm like, how can I accept someone for who they are without judging them? Bro, that was the toughest thing like I had to go through because you find yourself here at this better version of yourself and you see everyone else doing the stuff they used to do and you know it's wrong. You know it affects you negatively in the future if you continue being this person. So it's hard to be like to watch people you love like do those things. I'm like, bro, don't do that, bro. So it's just like it got to a point where I just shut off. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let him do him. I'm gonna let him do him. I'm not gonna stress myself out. And then eventually I led by example. This is
Mm.
where everything came different. He was like, man, why are you always happy? Why are you always chill? Why don't you worry about things when they go wrong? And I was like, you know what? That's a great question. Let me sit you down. Let's have a conversation. But because in the beginning, when you, bro, I think I told you this before. When you discover this new power within yourself and what you're capable of, you want to share it. Naturally, you want to share it with your best
Mhm.
friends. You're like, hey, best friend, like, yo, do this. And then they start be like, what? Making you sound like you're crazy. Like, bro, what are you talking about? What do you mean meditate? That's corny. What are you talking about? Sitting by yourself and quiet? What? And and then funny enough, he started meditating. He was like, man, I don't know. I'm having a good day. I'm like, yeah.
Yo,
But
it's
I say all that. I say all that, Marlon, because I'm still battling my old self. Like I'm not the better version of myself, like solid, because I still find myself battling my old self. Like, prime example, like this is funny, and it happens like almost every day. I have an elevator to get to my apartment, and then I have the stairs like right the door, like next door. And I always catch myself when I click that button. I hear my boss voice, "Oh, you're gonna take the elevator, huh? Is that how you feel? You want to be lazy and take a shortcut?" I'm like, God dang! So I got to go take the stairs. I'm gonna take the stairs to the five level on that, and it feels good when you open that door, when you hit the fifth floor by taking the stairs. It feels good. I dominated my bitch voice. You didn't
oh,
make me take this shortcut today. So I still battle it, every day here and there. I catch myself, but meditation, self-awareness, I'm going to say that all the time. Go meditate.
bro, and I think that's like what people need to understand. It's like even after you achieve a certain level of success, even after you have the victories, yesterday's victories don't count for anything today, right? Like
Nope.
they really don't. Like it's good to have it on the checkerboard. It's good to build that momentum. However, today's struggle subjectively will feel just like yesterday's struggle. You still have to make the decision. You have to recommit. And
Mhm.
I think that's what something people don't get is like this commitment. It's a recommitment daily, right? You every single day you make a choice to, okay, I'm going back to work today. Okay, I'm gonna build today. I'm gonna work on myself. I'm gonna work on my business. I'm gonna work on my friends. I'm gonna work on saying no to the things that are not serving me in the future, right? I'm gonna say
Yeah.
no to the instant gratification again today. And I just like I want to like I'm happy that you're saying that. I want people to understand that it doesn't go away, right?
It
You
does
just
not.
get better at making that decision. You just get better at choosing. You get stronger.
Yes. Yes. That self-awareness. You got to build that self-awareness. It does not go away. Your bitch voice is always going to be like, hey man, don't worry. Don't do that second workout. You worked hard yesterday. Go to bed. Rest your muscle. Man, I'm telling you, bro, I've been like all around it, man. I've seen people, man, I'm just tired. I've worked out so hard yesterday. I'm like, okay, so what are you gonna do today?
Yep.
What are you gonna do today, man? Yeah, but you gotta rest your muscles. All right, cool. Just take a walk. Still
So
consider a
Alejandro,
workout.
let me ask you this, right? For somebody that's like listening to this now and they're just like, man, like I see what Alejandro's doing. Like I want to get disciplined, right? Like I want to get that to that point, right? I want to meditate, right? Like what
Mm-hmm.
would you advise for them? Like where would you tell someone to practically start if they want to see a true change in their life? And I know this is a tough question because every person's an individual, right? You know, it's like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's got their own unique situation. Everyone's coming from their own standpoint. However,
Mm-hmm.
would you say, is there, right? If you had to give like a broadcasted universal message, is there something that you think you can say to people like, hey, you know what? Begin the journey here, and this should be enough of a catalyst for you to keep the journey going.
Mm. Man, that's a really tough question. The funny thing is, Marlon, every time I'm around like the sub two family, they do ask me that same question. How do you get disciplined? And I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, what do they see? Like honestly, like I generally like I want to understand like what makes people answer that, ask me that. And I think I'm starting to see where it's coming from. Mr. Marlon here, he talks a lot about me and saying, hey man, Alverez this and Alverez, and people always come back to me, how are you so disciplined? And I'm like, man, honestly, I think you have to hit rock bottom.
Mm,
I think you have to find your own rock bottom. And you know, if you're not disciplined, it's because you're not desperate enough to be disciplined. And I think a lot of that has to do with finding your rock bottom. And an individual in Arizona, when I was in Arizona, um, I told him this. He was like, man, I hate rock bottom, bro. I hate rock bottom. Please, how do I get disciplined like you? And I'm like, man, you just gotta honestly write down the stuff that you don't want to do anymore, the stuff that doesn't benefit you anymore. Write it down, look at it, register it, and write down the solution next to it. I am overweight. Solution: eat healthy and work out. Write it down, look at it, face it. Because if you're just saying it to yourself, like it doesn't mean anything. You got to write it down. You got to face it. You got to be intentional. Look at it. Man, I am overweight. Solution: work out and eat healthy. I'm not closing enough deals. Make more phone calls. Write it down. Record that message in your mind and watch the difference. I'm serious, bro. Every time I write something down, like I remember it all day. It's so easy to remember because you sometimes you just sit there and you're like, yeah, I want to become a better version of myself. And then you go do the old things that you're used to doing, like go play video games, go watch YouTube videos, like that doesn't benefit you. Scroll through TikTok, and then that message you told yourself, you don't remember it anymore. It's gone. It's buried. It's buried with all these unnecessary things that you're not supposed to be doing. But when you write that stuff down and you're intentional about it every day, I'm telling you that message is always going to be ringing in your ear. Always going to be ringing. Hey man, you said you're going to work out. You said you're going to eat healthier. What are you doing picking up that fried chicken? What are you doing? You say you're going to eat healthier. Again, it goes back to the bitch voice and boss voice and meditation, self-awareness, self-awareness. So I always put it out there. Go meditate. Go meditate. I promise you it's going to be super corny. I gave him the upfront contract. It's going to be super corny for like the first month. But after that first and second, like that second month, like mid month and a half, second month, you're going to start feeling something different, like within yourself, like in your body. Your body feels different. You feel like the air is fresher. You can breathe. It's more natural, and everything you do, it's almost intentional because you're telling yourself, because something in meditation is what they teach you is being aware of what your thoughts are at the moment. So like, if when I first started meditating, it was like, if you hear a sound in the background, I want you to acknowledge it, right? The door opens, accept it. Door opens. There's a sound, the door slammed, your neighbor's door slammed, the door slammed, accept it. And it's just training your mind to have, to build that strength, just like how you go to the gym to get bigger pecs, bigger biceps. You're building the muscles in your brain of that self-awareness. Oh, yes, I acknowledge, I acknowledge, I acknowledge. So when you eat that fried chicken and you're not supposed to, you acknowledge and you start
Mm.
feeling that guilt. Like, oh, you're right. I'm not supposed to eat this right now. And you don't, and you get better at it. But it's not it's not a overnight success. You got to do that for a couple of months, man. You got to be obsessed with becoming your better version.
Bro, I freaking love that. Like that is A1 advice, man. Like, especially like for a tough job, like, because that's honestly like right there. It's hard to give any sort of universal advice. However, I
Mm.
can't see people doing this and not getting benefit from it. Being able to sit down, because bro, I got like a journal right here where what you just
Yeah.
described, that's exactly what I did, where I wrote out the story of the person that I am who I don't want to be. Right. Like I wrote that story out. Right. I laid it all in front of me. And then exactly what you said. I then took everything, right? Like, hey, I
Mm-hmm.
procrastinate. I rewrote that. Okay. I now get things done the moment the thought comes to me. If it's a priority, it gets worked on immediately. Right.
Yeah.
Rewriting that, rewiring that, and building that awareness to actually face the darkness, to face the inner demon. Right. That is crucial because I think a lot of people try to ignore the dark side of their life. And life is both bright, life is both good and bad, both dark and bright.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, so you've got to be able to face that opposite side and learn how to respond to it, be aware of it, having that deep awareness. So, bro, I want to be respectful of your time and check this out. I got some questions I want to ask you here. These like final questions that I like to wrap up the show with.
Let's do
Number
it.
one, number one, right? I'm big into reading, right? Books have helped expand my mind, right? They've just taken me from, down here, up here. Like I appreciate them so much. So I want
Mm.
to know for yourself if you can name no more than two books, no more than two, that were total paradigm shifts for you, right? You picked these books up, you read them, and you have not gone back to being the same ever since. Your mind just never shrank back to where it used to be.
Ooh, just two books.
That's two, bro.
Well, you already know one of them for sure, and that's the 5 a.m.
I
Club
knew it.
by Robin Sharma. Right? Is it Sharma? Yeah,
Yep.
Robin Sharma. And the second one is the Secret, Magic. That's where it explains a lot of, about being grateful, gratitude. And I didn't read that book, too long ago. That book was actually prior to Christmas. Man, everything just shifted when I started writing down like what I'm grateful for. And I'll show you right here. I have my book. Uh,
Bro, I
it's
love
just
that it's a
it's
black
blank
book.
pages.
Come on
Yeah.
now. Bro, that's freaking fire. Yo, this is why me and you get along, man. Cause like if I open up
Yeah.
my book right here, dude, what I mean? We got the goals
Yeah.
inside there, we got the gratitude.
Gratitude, man. Because with gratitude, this is where it's easier to be happy in your certain stage of your life right now, because you start realizing how grateful you are for the little things you have. And that's super important. I got this Buddha thing here in my room. I posted it earlier. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, Marlon, but it was on my Instagram. But it says, happiness doesn't depend on what we have, but it does depend on how we feel towards what we have.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. What we don't have. Sorry. We can be happy with little and miserable with much. So meaning, when you're writing down your gratitude, you start sending messages to your soul, to your mind, and there's a lot of people that have different beliefs and all that stuff. But when you start sending that message, it starts to mean something to you, and you starts to register properly. Where what am I upset about today? I have my legs, I can see, I can hear, I can eat, I have clothes, I have a house. There's people homeless out there. There's people that have no legs, people that, didn't wake up today. Like, what are you mad about? And you start to realize how grateful you are about things. And it makes it so much easier to just be a super happy soul, just having an amazing day, bro. So, actually write it down because, I've said, hey, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. But the magic really gets deep down on how to properly do that.
Yo, I
So,
like that. I like because there's a power to physically picking up pen to writing.
yeah.
Like I think people, they sleep on that, right? One of the books I read was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill spoke about this, that he said, you need to write down your goals. You need to write down your desires. You need to write down the things you're grateful for. And it's not good enough to just think about it. It's not good enough to just, speak about it and say like, oh no, I already know what I'm grateful for, right? That there's an actual reason why these books teach us to actually write it down,
Hmm.
right? It gets into our nervous system. It gets into the world. It becomes a physical, tangible, right? I can actually see your gratitude there on the paper. It's real, right?
Yeah.
We're making it real. We're making it more real in those moments that we do this. So I love those book recommendations, bro.
Yep. Gratitude. See what you're grateful for and why. I do this every day in my morning routines with my team. We go through three things we're grateful for. And one of the guys in my team, you can tell um that he still don't understand like why we do that thing, because he just said, well, today I'm grateful for being alive, my kids and my family, and then that's it, right? But when I get into it and other people say, hey, I'm grateful that I, get a chance to text my mother today. Not a lot of people get to say that. Not a lot of people have the luxury of seeing their mom the next day. Not a lot of people have, that relationship with their mom. So it gets deep. It gets
Mhm.
so deep where it registers that memory and that actual feeling within yourself. But when someone says, I'm grateful today for being up, my family, it just zooms by. Like you won't remember that. Make it meaningful. So that's what I learned from the magic, um, how to make it meaningful. And that honestly truly did help with being happy throughout my day.
Bro, I love it, man. That's amazing advice. So let me ask this, right? This is one of my favorite questions to ask people, and I always ask it at the end of every episode. And in fact, my hopes are to put a book together with everybody's answers one day, right? And the
Hmm.
question goes like this. It asks, Alejandro, imagine tomorrow you wake up, and as you wake up, you find yourself being a blank slate all over again. You're the same age, right? But you have no memories, you have no recollection of your past, of your childhood, of traveling,
Hmm.
of the lifestyle that you lived once before, of 75 hard, of the things you've learned about gratitude. Just, I'm talking total blank slate. And
Hmm.
as consciousness comes to you, you begin to have a thought, right? This thought comes to you. And when it comes to you and it arrives, you accept it. You accept it as truth, as facts, as it cannot be broken, it can't be changed. Like it is just this foundation for everything else to come afterwards, right? And there's never a doubt about it. What would you ideally want this first thought to be?
Ooh. So I don't remember anything, but I can pick one thing.
And it doesn't even have to be a memory that you had. It could be anything. You can pick anything, and this thought essentially will be the foundation of everything else to come.
Honestly, I would say how to serve others. How to serve others. Um, because I feel naturally growing up, and I think how society has made us to believe is, when you serve someone, you expect something back from that person. It's not like that. The universe works differently. You have to accept how the universe works. When you help someone, the universe helps you somewhere else. It doesn't have to come from that same person directly. It's coming to you. That's just how this universe works. And that's what I would live off, like serve others, go help those in need.
Dang. Yo, bro, I love that. And I like exactly how you explained it. The fact that essentially, like, don't look back at the person you just served as the person who's going to cover the bill, right? The universe covers the bill. God covers the bill. Like, don't worry about, like, the bill's going to be covered and there'll be a tip. Like, don't stress it. But if you're looking at that person to pay it back, that's a formula for frustration.
Yes. Whew, huge frustration. Oh my God.
No, I love this, man. So for people that have been listening to this episode and they're like, dang, this Alejandro cat, like, I like him. Like, he's got good vibes, he's got good energy, right? And they want to learn more about you. They want to connect with you. How should people go about, essentially interacting with you? Like, should they follow you on social media? Like, where should people go?
You follow me on Instagram. I'm doing a lot better with my content. I put a lot of thoughts into it. It's really Alverez at It's Really Alverez, ITSREALLY. Alvarez is ALVAREZ, or just shoot me a text 770-380-9050. It's not a computer phone. It's my actual cell phone. Shoot me a text.
Dang, y'all just got Alejandro's number. Look, I'm gonna put a little disclaimer on that. Like, if you're gonna reach out to Alejandro, like, please make sure that you bring some value, because this man, he's a wealth of value. I want to protect his energy, right? If you've got a real estate deal that you need help with, reach out to him. My man is crazy good on the phone. He's crazy good at solving problems. Like, reach out, especially if you have a deal in the Dallas area. If you got something going on in Texas, reach out to him and plug in. Alejandro, bro, I appreciate you immensely for making the time today to be on this call, to be on this interview, man. Like, I'm looking forward to people listening to this episode and just being like blown away with you as I am, bro.
Bro, thank you. I was looking forward to this Sunday. I mean, the house is empty. Everything just worked out perfect. My roommate says, hey, man, I'm going to Houston for the day. I'm like, oh, perfect. I'm just going to shoot this in the living room. Perfect. I told you I let go of anything I have. Usually on Sundays, I do my whole morning routines, go get my pancakes, ride my bicycle, drink my coffee. But today I woke up with the purpose of being on Marlon's podcast, bro. It's always a pleasure to be with you, to have a conversation with you. And, I look forward to, meeting in person more in future, bro. We need to travel a lot more often, man. We run a virtual business. Let's travel more often, bro.
Bro, I'm absolutely down, man. We're still gonna do the penthouse thing in Manhattan, bro. Like that.
Oh, I'm so down. I'm ready. I just
let
me
me
know when you guys are ready.
That seed, man. Like, it's good. I'm game to go.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. You just tell me whenever you're ready, and I'm ready to go. I was actually looking at penthouses today in New Jersey and New York. Like, no joke. I was actually doing that today at Airbnb. Oh. I mean, the prices are outrageous, but I'm ready to go. Let's go, man. I want to really live that experience with great people like yourself, brother.
Bro, we're on the same wavelength, man. We're going to make that happen. And I already know we're going to have you back on for a round two, another episode in the future, bro.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man.
So, if y'all like this episode, if you appreciated this episode, if you appreciated Alejandro's insight, go show him some love. Go on IG, tag him in this, right? Let him know. I want to know what your biggest takeaway, right, from everything we spoke about, from meditation, from coming into this country, from being able to tap into your energy, being able to change your circle, being able to change yourself, being able to transform. Like, I want to know what your biggest takeaway was. And if you start doing 75 hard because of this, tag us. I want to see your journey. I want to see every day. Like, just tag us at it's Alverez, right? It's really Alverez.
Yep. It's really Alverez. Yep.
Y'all already know Mindset Marlon. So we got the links below. Just go down to the description, click on it, and I'll see y'all for the next episode.
Boom.